Ora, everyone, and welcome to the BlackOut series, proudly brought to you by Black creatives out there. My name is Diane Wesh, and once again, I'm so honored to be your host for this series, which will be held every Sunday for the next 7 weeks. I hail from Virginia Beach, Virginia, the 757, and I'm the proud product of tough Haitian immigrants. I'm also an inclusive marketing consultant and the founder of Got Blacklisted. As y'all know, we're not here to sugarcoat the hard stuff, but rather to share our stories, our collective truths. We'll dive deep into art, COVID-19, the Black Lives Matter movement, and more. Please keep in mind that interviews are normally 30 minutes, but on certain occasions, they may last up to 45. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below prior to 12:30. And now, allow me to welcome our guest this afternoon, London-born and Christchurch-based foodie, Jax Hamilton. She is known to many as a contestant in MasterChef New Zealand, and she is the author of 2 best-selling cookbooks. With a British Jamaican heritage, Jax is simply a recipe of ingredients, people, charity, humor, inspiration, and adventure. Welcome, Jax. Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Whoa, actually, well, ahi Marie, Diane. Thank you very much, so much for inviting me here today. It's a real honour to be part of this series, but you have done an amazing job. So I really don't have anything else to say. It's just an honour to be here.
Thank you, Jax. Thank you. It's just an honor to have you as well. Before we get started, I kind of want to do things a little bit differently, if that's okay with you. So to kind of just have a little icebreaker for our viewers, I'm just going to ask you a short series of questions, and all you have to do is fill in the blanks, and you just have to be honest and just answer whatever pops into your mind. Is that cool if we do that?
Absolutely fantastic. I love things like this.
Okay.
Let's crack on.
All right. So what's your favorite TV show right now and why?
Well, weirdly, it's going to show my age. I love The Chase because I love general knowledge. I love getting the answers right.
And your sons would describe you as?
As their best friend.
Your favorite dinosaur is?
What? Dinosaur? My gosh. Oh my days. My favorite dinosaur is the raptor.
Name the worst gift you've ever received.
Oh, anger.
That's a good one. Okay. Your guilty pleasure is?
Oh, flipping heck. I like to get up in the middle of the night and cook a whole roast dinner.
Oh, a whole roast.
Yeah, it's just a really nice space to have, just to be able to concentrate and just go through the motions with grace. Yeah.
Nice. Ooh. And what is one thing you never leave home without?
My integrity.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome. You know, usually for me it's hot sauce, but wow. You know,
In your handbag.
Well, yeah, sometimes, you know, New Zealand, they don't have as much seasoning and, you know, stuff that I like, so I need a little flavor.
I love it. I'm gonna send you some of mine.
Thank you, please.
I will.
All right, thanks so much, Jax. So let's go ahead and jump into the core of this conversation.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Yes, Jax, you grew up as a first-generation Jamaican in the 60s in East London and endured a wealth of trials and tribulations. Can you share a bit of who younger Jax was?
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, that's a long time ago. I was really confused because I was a very creative child. Music, drawing, even cooking, even at a really young age. So I was really confused because, as you know, in my house, I could be one thing, and then outside the home, I was something else. And my mother, I've got 5 brothers and sisters, and everyone above me was kind of like the same as everyone else, but I was quite an unusually odd child, believe me or not. So I learned to fend for myself, as myself, from a very young age. I wasn't really into education, really, because I was so much of a dreamer. And even that part of the dreamer part of me is still much alive today, but it's a lot bigger. And I have to really concentrate in everyday kind of work. But yeah, I was a bit of a lost soul, really. But I realize now that soul was really important to be lost.
Yes. And in a previous interview, you mentioned that growing up, reading books served as your escape. Do you have any current favorites?
Wow. At the moment, I'm reading a series of books by Ben Aranovich, and he writes about London, and his main character is this crazy, funny West African policeman called Peter Grant. And he lives in Peckham, and his mum makes, jollof rice, and his dad is a jazz musician. But when I was a child, my home life was there was a lot of domestic abuse. So I would take myself off to the library, and I would open a book, and I would fall into the pages, and I would walk alongside, the Grimm fairy stories, and I would walk alongside Alice in Wonderland, and I would find my place in those stories so that I could come home, and if I needed to, I could return to them without having to think too much. It's how I kind of took myself away, and I still do the same today, but in different ways. And I do a lot of writing as well, so I can create my own worlds, which I love. It's one of my favourite hobbies: journaling, writing, creating words and stories.
And how many journals do you have now?
Oh my goodness, Diane! I have a series of them. I mean, literally for my whole life, I've written in journals. So, a lot. And I like to write every single week if I can. I'll get up on a Sunday and I'll kind of get myself earthed outside in my garden, and then I'll pick up a fountain pen because I was, taught to write with a fountain pen by the nuns, and I will start to write, and it literally flows out of me. I don't really need to do anything. I just open a door and out tumble all the words.
And that's so nice to hear. I kind of wish I would have started journaling a lot younger. I currently have 7, but my question for you is, do you ever write letters to your older self?
To my older self?
Yes.
No, I don't. I don't write to my older self. I write to my younger self because there's a lot of forgiveness that needs to come from there.
Yes.
And I've never really thought about my older self. No, maybe I should do that.
Ooh,
I love
yes.
the sound of that. Oh, you give me
yes. You should try. Actually, like what I do is I would literally write a note to my older self, and I'll put it in an envelope, seal it, and I'll say, "Don't open until you're 30." Or don't open until you're X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been doing that?
Actually, I just maybe like a year ago I started.
And have you opened any yet?
No, not yet. So it's always like with older stuff.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And Jax, your passion for cooking started at a young age and led you to enter MasterChef New Zealand in 2011, where you became a finalist and runner-up. Can you explain what that experience was like for you?
Wow. Yeah. MasterChef New Zealand changed my life, but what I didn't realise was that the chapters up until that point, my life was heading towards that direction. The momentum was going that way. So in 2009, as probably everyone knows, I came to the end of a 20-year marriage, and I was in my 40s, and I needed to show my children that at any age you can change your dream and you can change the focus of your life. And I always knew that I could cook. Well, I was always good at ingredients. I've got a really good palate, and I could always go, well, that smells nice, and I think that will go with it. So I sat down one night and I applied for MasterChef, and it was like strapping on a seatbelt on the fastest, biggest, largest roller coaster of my life. Everyone around me told me that I would never make it, I wouldn't do it, and I didn't deserve it. But you know what? I didn't listen to them.
That's great. And what was your thought process when you received that congratulations, like you made it on MasterChef New Zealand, or that just, I don't know if it was a congratulations call or email, or how did that look to you? What was that day like?
It was all terrifying because I was coming from a place of fear. And I truly believe today that you only grow in proportion to your fear. Okay, so what actually happened was I applied and I completed the application form, and it came back and said, here's the next stage. So it was a matter of about 20 stages. So I started the application process in the July, and then I moved into the kind of MasterChef house. I left Christchurch, moved to Auckland, and moved into the house on the North Shore in October. So that can give you an idea of the timeline, really. And then we commenced filming, and we filmed October, November, December, and then literally a couple of days before Christmas, we finished filming, but it didn't air until February. So it was quite, it was almost 9 months really, in the making of. So I was able to take each step at a time. I think if I had applied and it would have been a lot quicker, it would have been hard to process. Being on a reality TV show is more real than you would really ever imagine. It takes you and it changes you. You have to really jump from place to place quite quickly in order to survive. And I think because I was 10 years older than any of the other contestants and I had quite a bigger life, I was able to kind of traverse easier. It's very emotional. It's a very emotional thing to do. And to be criticised every day for your food, that's not easy either. It's really not.
And who do you attribute your success to?
Wow, my goodness.
I love these wow questions. I told you I was going to wow you.
I attribute it to my children mainly because I'm doing it for them. It's really important for me, for my children to see me live. You know, it's really important for me, for my children to see that I can dream at any age. It's really important for me, for them to know that I will open myself out to all sorts of things and not query the small stuff. Look, I've said to my children, I'm here for the big stuff. Go out and live your life because one day I won't be here. Go and do all the big stuff. And I'm hoping that by seeing me living a true, authentic life, that's, you know, they've got a good grounding for the life that they want to do. So my children, really. I suppose my grandmother as well. I never met my grandmother, but I feel like she's a presence inside me. She was a cook as well in Jamaica, and she would bake for the village. And she died quite young. And I feel like there are times when I'm cooking and there's a voice that says, put a little bit of something in like that, no? And I'm like, oh, what's that? And I think it's my grandmother going, it's not salty enough, it doesn't taste nice, so you need to do this or pick this up. And I let that happen a lot because it's given me the courage to be me today.
And Jax, you mentioned, you know, you went through a lot of just like domestic abuse as a child. And previously, actually, before we hopped on, we talked about suffering well. And you mentioned how we're all kind of a mixture of ingredients. Can you kind of share that, what you told me with our viewers?
Yeah, I really believe, like, I mean, you mentioned suffering well, which I love. I like to think that I'm on the other side of the pain. Do you know what I mean? Because I think in any situation, mentally or physically, you have to go through it. It's quite lonely. You have to go through the process so you can go onto the other side. You know, if I had something on my leg that was paining me, it had to be cut out, there would be a wound and there would be a healing process, and then I would be on the other side of that pain. And I really do believe that in my life, that's what happened to me. You know, my father was a very, very violent man. So I grew up for the first 7 years surrounded by that type of environment, which was literally terrifying. I remember even at a very young age thinking I might not actually live, you know, I might not actually get through this because we were all so scared. So for me, as I've grown up, I've really recognized that in order to get to the next stage, sometimes it might not be easy. And then for me also, there's always a sacrifice for your treasure. There's always a sacrifice for your treasure. Life, I think, isn't easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. You know, you can, if you live truthfully and authentically, you can work it out. We've all got our instincts, and they're there for a reason.
Thank you. That was really beautiful how you articulated that. Thank you for that. You. And Jax, COVID-19 has canceled a lot of gigs that you had scheduled. Can you explain to our viewers how staying at home allowed you to successfully harness the power of TikTok?
Wow, listen, COVID came into my life and that was it. My diary was cleared out. And because I run my own business, I do not have a partner. I have a cat to look after and my children, they don't live with me. And I went to the end of February, the COVID kind of hit me quite squarely in the face. And I'm normally a girl that works 12 hours a day, which was not healthy. Thank you, COVID. So Mother Nature said, everyone go to your rooms and think about who you are and what you're going to do on the other side of this thing. So literally within 3 weeks, all of the glass balls that I hold in my head, I was able to put them down and get rid of all of the pollution and spend some time with myself and really recognize who I am as a human, as a part of humanity. Because I think that's really important. This is a massive thing that's happened to the world. And so I spent a lot of time being really still and going out into my garden, and really accessing my creativity. I wrote a lot, I played the piano, I played the clarinet, I looked after my picking pantry, my outdoor garden. I kind of just made some decisions based on who I wanted to be when we were able to go out into the world again. And I really, what I did was, sometimes in your life when you're walking along, you're triggered by stuff and you get some pain and you don't know what the pain is. But if you talk it aloud during the day, it could be quite painful. So what I did was I would go to bed at night, and those moments in my life where I was like, what is that? I would talk it out into the dark. So it would go from the dark of my head out into the dark. And if I thought it was really quite painful, I would kind of seek a little bit of help, because you could, you know, Zooming and stuff. And I just kind of recreated a new version of myself. And on the other side of that, you know, obviously I didn't have any contracts, and obviously I wasn't earning any money, but I earned a lot of me back. I earned a lot of me back. So coming out of it, I am very different, and I have a very different approach to the jobs I do and the people I spend time with, and how I spend my free time. No more 12-hour days. No more 12-hour days.
Nice, it's so great to hear. And I know previously you mentioned your sons originally introduced you to TikTok. Do you do a lot of Jax the Hacks videos?
Yeah, so sorry, I forgot about that bit.
Oh no,
yeah,
sorry.
So you know, at the in February, when my life kind of came to an end, my older son Jack came to me and said, "Mum, you've been really good on TikTok." And I was like, "Do you know what? I think TikTok is just for little girls dancing in their wardrobes." And he was like, "No, you're really good at putting stories together." So I began doing a little kind of Jax Food Hax, kind of quick 59-second, do this, do that, grab that, eat that, and you're good. And within, literally, let me tell you, Diane, within 4 weeks, 2 million viewers, 2 million likes. It just blew up. And since then, I've had a lot of people approach me to work with them, BuzzFeed Food and Good Housekeeping in New York, and lots of things I can do that don't bust any bubbles, but digitally can travel around the world, which has really opened up another part of my world and my presenting skills, and I suppose the energy that I convey, which is beautiful, because I can do that from my home in my studio kitchen, which I love, because ultimately, Diane, I think I'm just a teacher. I'm just a teacher. Yeah.
Yes, and then just the way, again, you live your life so authentically, like, you know, not only do you educate, but you also empower and inspire so many people, which is amazing, because not a lot of people have that authentic voice. Not many people are able to take their pain and propel them towards their purpose, but you have done that exceptionally well. And it's always just a pleasure to follow along on your journey. Are there any favorite like hacks that you have, or like some of your favorite videos that you've done that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Oh, wow. Yeah, so there's one that I do, and it's a really easy sponge, because I've got this thing about processed food and people going out and buying food that's not good for them. So there's one I do where you just get an egg and you weigh the egg, and then all the other ingredients you weigh that to the same weight of the egg. So if the egg is 53 grams, then your butter, sugar, flour, it's all the same. Put it in the oven, and then in 15 minutes you have an amazing sponge, which you can double up, and you can create a wedding cake if you like, or you can just have enough, you know, of a dessert for one, and you can add chocolate to it or jam, which is a really lovely one. There's another one I do, which is people seem to have problems with poaching eggs. So in this hack, I tell you to get a muffin tin, put your oven on, put 6 eggs in your muffin tin, and Bob's your auntie's living lover. Boom, you've got 6 eggs. But it's just about 6 poached eggs. It's just about heat and how you apply it, really. So that, I mean, it's fun, and it's fast, and it's creative, and it's inspirational. And that's what I love about TikTok. It's instantaneous, and no one's born a good cook. Do you know what I mean? No one's born in that way. How you apply yourself to those things is how you get better. That's it. And with my Jax Food Hax, everyone can create something that is going to be delicious and quick and fun. And that's what I think people don't forget about food. You can do that with food. It doesn't have to be MasterChef plated and, you know, smoked to within an inch of its life. It can just be nice and simple and delicious, full of personality.
And do you have anything special that you're preparing tonight for Sunday dinner?
Yes, I'm going to do some beef cheeks. I'm going to slow cook some beef cheeks and some wine and some thyme, and I'm going to have them with just some garlic and truffle mash, and that's going to be a lovely, because and lots of vegetables from my garden at the moment. I'm growing lots of silver beet and chard, which I love, just tossed through with some chili and some garlic oil. Ooh, and I will cook that for myself. I think that's because I deserve it.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
Jax, you're currently based in Christchurch and you are at level 1. How has it been so far?
The Christchurch community, we have been through quite a lot. As you know, we've had last year, we had that awful situation at the, with the shooting. And then, we've also suffered through the earthquakes, which were horrendous. So as a community, it's very easy for us now. We're kind of open to that kind of coming together and seeing our neighbours, not as a stranger, but as part of our community. So we kind of, as soon as Jacinda said, right, let's do it, we were like, okay, we're in. And it was immediate. It was so strange to wake up to no noise, no cars, no aeroplanes. It was amazing. But now level 1, we're just almost kind of getting back to normal. We're kind of, we're wiser, but we're stronger. We're always wiser and we're always stronger. Christchurch is beautiful. It's a beautiful place to recognise who you are. It's not about making a living, it's about making a lifestyle. And that's what I like about here.
Yes, and you've certainly done that. You've been heavily involved in your city, in Christchurch. You feed the homeless, you conduct charity work, you support restaurants and cafes. Can you describe your latest endeavor, Grocer Jax, with our viewers?
Yeah, so Grocer Jax is, so on a Tuesday, I have a consultancy clinic, and I mentor young people in charities, or I just give my time away in any way that I can. And I was working with these 2 guys who have started Green Lane Market in the city, and we were just kind of, they wanted to have an open kind of kitchen, so I was helping them to plan and create that. And I said to them, well, in order for people to come back every week, you need to have a grocery shop. And they were like, you should do the grocery shop. And I was like, I ain't got time for a grocery shop. I'm a busy person. And then I went to bed, woke up and went, I'm going to open a grocery shop. So Grocer Jax really it's a store within Green Lane Market. And what I've done is I've gone out into Christchurch, North Canterbury, and as far as Akaroa. And I have found beautiful food producers that create small batch food beautifully. And I have brought them to Grocer Jax so that they can, people can see what is in their areas, and it gives them a platform. Grocer Jax also has, so the end line for Grocer Jax is, because food is nature and mother knows best. So I also have a big table at Grocer Jax, which is love from mother nature. And every week I put on it free fresh fruit and vegetables for anyone that wants it. So I call out to my friends and people on Facebook and I say, has anyone got any fresh seasonal fruit that they're growing in abundance? And I always seem to get loads. Yesterday we had grapefruits, mandarins, and silver beets. So anyone can come along, they can help themselves to the free fruit and vegetables and know that they've got fresh seasonal food in their cupboards that they can feed themselves or their families. So yeah, so I've been doing that now, which is not easy because I have to get up early on a Saturday morning. So I've been doing that now for the last 4 weeks, and I love it because the market is a community of like-minded people who just want to see people succeed. And it's sustainable and it's great for mother nature, and it's environmentally sensitive. So it's the first market I know of where you buy things by internet banking. There's no paper, you just come in and you get a reference and you go and you shop that way. It's beautiful. I love it there.
Wow, I really wish when I visited Christchurch, I could have got to get some good groceries from Grocer Jax. That would have been so really.
Yeah, well, there's always time, and I think the universe has put us together in this way, which is a beautiful synergy. So we will see each other, and I will bring you some product from Grocer Jax.
Thank you, Jax.
I'll tell you something just quickly. Sorry. So, because I just want to share this quick thing. So, because we were talking about suffered well. So, when I was a really small young girl, a really terrible thing happened in my household, and on the radio was a song, and the chorus was Grocer Jack. It was Grocer Jack, and it propelled me to a really dark space. And I spent my whole life trying to get over these words. So when they said to me, you need to have a grocery shop, I thought to myself, I'm going to call it Grocer Jax. I'm going to take that back.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Mate, I've never shared that before because it was very hard. Because you know, sometimes we all get triggered by, especially music and food and smells. But that song, because I really love music. That was really big, and so that really closed the cycle for me. And every morning when I get up and I see the sign Grocer Jax, it reminds me of all of that, and that's mine. It's doing good.
That is incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Jax.
Okay.
And actually, I peeped your Instagram the other day, and I was laughing so hard because I saw you playing around with chickens. Can you explain that?
Days.
Can you explain that?
That was unbelievable. Yeah, so I wanted to find a farm. It was not too far outside of Christchurch that had really, really happy hens. And I found this beautiful little farm just before Akaroa called Forage Farms. And I went out and they were all like, running out to meet me. They were so beautiful. And they were pecking me. God, it was hilarious. And it was the first time, Diane, I'd ever held a chicken. Do you know what I mean? Like a chicken.
They don't usually stay in your house.
Yeah. And the chicken was looking at me and I was looking at the chicken. It was beautiful. So yeah, it was lovely to be able to go out and meet the farmers, meet the chickens, know that they are really happy, and to know that I could sell their eggs at Grocer Jax. So yeah, it was beautiful. That beautiful synergy, that beautiful circle of life. You know, the light that comes from something like that, when instinctively you know it's right. You know, it's really nice.
And Jax, beyond food, a lot of people don't know this, that you're actually very musically talented, from playing the clarinet to the recorder to learning the guitar. Are there any new musical skills that you've currently picked up?
Not really. I mean, I do. I've always loved music from a very early age. I know the recorder isn't an instrument that people love, but I was able to play that to such an extent that I played it at the festival hall, and I played it at the Royal Albert Hall as well, you know, as a part of an ensemble. And it gave me the understanding of classical music and how that is arranged. But I've always been a massive vinyl collector, and my children are both very musical as well. They're amazingly musical in very different ways. So during COVID, I took piano lessons, and I'm learning to play the piano. I play the clarinet in an orchestra as well. Music for me means I'm never lonely. It means that any emotion that I have, I can kind of supplement it with any type of music. Sundays normally, coming out of my windows, you'll hear Porgy and Bess, or you'll hear a little bit of an opera, or you'll hear whatever my sons are listening to, Masego or Anderson .Paak. It's my day to get the vibrations right so that I can kind of go to the next stage of the next week. And yeah, for me, like if God came down now and she said, because we know it's a she, and she came down and she said, choose food or music, food would go out the door in a second. In a second, I would happily eat rice for the rest of my life and have a life filled with music, because it's all around. It's in the trees, it's in the wind. You know what I mean? It's when I'm asleep. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I love it.
And Jax, how are you able to create space and balance to explore and dabble in your various passions?
I really am very intuitive with who I am and how I'm feeling, and grabbing my time back. I realise that I'm a person of light, and I attract people who need the light. So I have to be really careful in how I give that out. You know, I live in this little house at the back of a section bordered by a park with lots of nature. So if I feel like I'm kind of losing parts of me, I just take a step back. And I think it's happened because I've had, in my chapters of my life, there have been times when I've noticed I've gone right down, and it's because I've not looked after myself spiritually. So for me, the triage is mental, physical, spiritual. And if I am feeling that one of them is out of balance, then I will put everything on hold to make sure I bring the balance back. Now, whether that's with Reiki, or I love to go to the ocean, or whether it's whether I write, or if I sit in the living room, it's my spare room when I play, or I cook, or I talk to friends. I just kind of keep the balance. Or my children, I just try and keep the balance, because if I haven't got the balance, then nothing goes right for me. Nothing at all.
Thank you for sharing that. And we have, actually now we have a few questions from our viewers. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna take the time to look at some of the questions that they have. If you could time travel, who would you want to meet and why?
I would want to go back and meet my grandmother, who I never met, and I'd like to sit around the kitchen table with her making dumplings and ask her about herself. That's what I would like to do. Almost every day, I wish I'd met her. Every day. Yeah. Ooh.
And what books are currently on your nightstand?
Oh my goodness! I have The Time Traveller by Mitch Absalom. I have Alicia Keys. I have her on there. I have my journal is on there as well. I have Sidney Poitier, A Portrait of a Man. And I also have Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eyes.
Yeah. That's good. And what is your favorite song to jam out to when cooking in the kitchen?
Well, listen, I know it's a little bit controversial. I do love Wanna Be Starting Something by Michael Jackson. Anything by Prince, or if I'm doing something slow and delicious, anything by Gregory Porter. Let me tell you, that man could come into my life and he could tell me my food is rubbish. He can do whatever he likes. But that voice of his, wow. I love Gregory Porter. Love him. Soundtrack of my life.
Thank you for sharing that, Jax. Well, it's time to wrap up, and can I just say it's been such a pleasure chatting with you today, Jax. And to our viewers, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Be sure to catch us live next Sunday with hip-hop instructor Ricky Vonax. Hailing from Los Angeles and based in Auckland, Ricky uses dance to bring people together. He is also a passionate youth worker and has facilitated dialogues on race and class with the youth he works with. Until next Sunday, 12 p.m. New Zealand time, my name is Diane Wesh, and you have been watching the BlackOut series. Ka kite.